So this right here is the correct top 10 UFC BMF rankings. The UFC don't have a BMF rankings list, so you're welcome that I have put one together for you. Dana White, take this free of charge. Starting it off, obviously, we have got Max Holloway, the current BMF champion. He has to be here. Max Holloway, BMF of all BMFs. His fights with Poirier, what he's done with Gaethje, the fights he's had with Volkanovski, just throughout his career, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen. This guy can't have a boring fight. Max Holloway is genuinely allergic to having a boring fight with anybody. The guy just cannot do it. The definition of BMF. Max Holloway currently holds the belt. Let's move on to number 2. Now look, whoa. Relax. I know people might be saying Ilot Toore is not BMF. There's, what about Pereira? What about Gaethje? Slow down. Slow down, please. We will get there. But this guy right here is arguably the BMF.
Bruh.
Like, if we just sit and look at it, I mean, we've had this scenario before where you had Jorge Masvidal, he beat Nate Diaz. He actually beat the fuck out of Nate Diaz, if you remember that correctly. He became BMF champion, then lost to Kamaru Usman. Then it was like, is Usman now the BMF champion? Well, no, because he didn't beat Masvidal for the BMF belt. But Masvidal's meant to be the BMF, but he just lost to someone else. So how the fuck can he be the BMF? You know what I mean? The BMF shit doesn't really make much sense. Ilot Toore is on this list. He just beat the BMF.
Huh?
He just beat him. So we can't have a BMF list without having the guy who knocked out the BMF, also beat the fuck out of Josh Emmett, and what he done to Volkanovski as well, and my boy Bryce Mitchell, and the head kick the guy at and got up against Jai Herbert. Look, I'm trying to make points as to why this guy's the BMF. The only point that anybody needs to really care about is the fact that this guy right here knocked out the BMF champion. Ilot Toore is number 2 on the list. Moving on to number 3, we have got Dustin Poirier. The definition of fucking BMF. When I think of BMF in the UFC, this guy right here, shine bright like a fucking diamond, is literally right on my mind. This guy is the BMF. I mean, what he's done with Michael Chandler, most recently Islam Makhachev, Benoit Saint Denis, his fights with Max Holloway, Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, like, come on. Is there any, like, I could put this guy number 1 BMF. I could, and I could sleep happy at night. But because we've got a BMF champion, it doesn't really make much sense. So, we have to be logical about this. This guy is BMF, definition of BMF. Now, this is completely off topic, but I feel like Dustin Poirier's next fight, which might be his retirement fight, I'd love to see Dustin Poirier versus JDM. I'm just going to be honest. Like, that would be a dream fight of mine to watch. But I think he's going to face the winner of Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, in either a trilogy or a rematch. And that there's going to be his final fight. That's what I think is going to happen. I did kind of think it might have been him versus Max Holloway. But then I feel like Max is going to fight Oliveira now, which is what I want. So this fight right here, what's next for Poirier? Unless he moves up. Like, if he moves up to welterweight and we have the Colby Covington fight, I'd also like that. But Poirier doesn't seem interested in fighting Colby Covington. That was just off topic. But yeah, number 3 in the BMF rankings, Dustin Poirier. Moving on, number 4. Jama. We have got Alex Pereira. Now, people might say, look, the BMF rankings are kind of confusing, right? So I'm trying to keep in mind, like, obviously, you could have, like, Tom Aspinall nearly crept on this list. But he's flatline knocking people out. We're not seeing this guy in the trenches in wars. So I need to know, does Tom Aspinall have that dog in him? Whenever it comes to being in the trenches, does this guy perform? Does this guy start saying, don't bring the dog out of me? Shout out to Eddie Alvarez, just got beat by Jeremy Stevens. Pereira, we know that about him. We've seen it in the fight against Khalil Roundtree. We've seen it in the fights against Israel Adesanya. The guy's got that dog in him. Potentially too high of a ranking for Pereira. I will maybe agree with people if they disagree with his placement in the comments below. But I feel like Pereira's a BMF. Moving on, we have got the former BMF champion, Justin Gaethje. This guy right here is BMF. Ever since this guy came into the UFC, not one fight's been born. And half of them, like 95% of this guy's fights have been a war. I'm surprised he even knows that he's called Justin Gaethje anymore. I'm just going to be honest. I'm surprised this guy knows that his first name's Justin. The amount of fucking trauma this guy must have in his head. His fights against Holloway, his 2 against Poirier, his 1 against Eddie Alvarez, his 1 against Chandler, Oliveira, fucking Rafael Fiziev, his debut against Michael Johnson, his fight with Tony Ferguson, when he beat the prime Tony Ferguson. This guy's been through the trenches. Justin Gaethje might have to go above. Yeah, I'm moving Justin Gaethje above Pereira. On fly, I'm changing it. This guy deserves to be more. Might be one of the worst tattoos in UFC history, by the way. Right, moving on to number 6, we have got Charles du Bronx. Charles Oliveira is BMF, let's be honest. I mean, his title run with his fights against Chandler, Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Islam Makhachev will maybe skip out. Is Arman Sarukian one when he was just like, yeah, this guy's BMF. I don't really think I have to explain much more. He's BMF, and he's going to be fighting for the BMF title next against Max Holloway. If the UFC understand what they're doing. If not, if Dana White and Hunter Campbell don't understand what they're doing, simple solution, just sign over the rights to me and I'll run the company. This guy's number 6. Moving on to number 7.
This is how legends are made.
We've got Yuri Provos. This guy right here, again, definition of fucking BMF. Could be above Oliveira, but I like Charles Oliveira a bit more, so I'm going to put Oliveira above him. Again, some of these placements, like you can maybe have Yuri above Pereira in terms of BMF, because you look at his fights against Jamal Hill, his fights against, he took some damage against Pereira, will not count them. His fights against Rakic, Glover Teixeira, Dominic Reyes, when he was fighting Volkan Oezdemir, headbutting the guy's fists. This guy is the real deal. Yuri Provos is him. BMF number 7. Number 7. We're getting down to the final here. DDP. Now, some people might say, well, if you're going to have DDP, you must have Sean Strickland on this list. My God, I don't have Sean Strickland on this list. I've got DDP. This guy looks like he's fighting underwater. Every fight this guy's in seems to just be difficult. I mean, his fight against Robert Whittaker, his fight against Darren Till, his fight against Sean Strickland was a war. His most recent fight against Israel Adesanya. DDP is the boy. DDP has to be on this list. DDP is coming in at what? Number 8, I believe. Yeah. DDP's got the number 8 ranking. Could potentially creep up a bit higher, depending on his performance at UFC 312. I've never seen a card so heavily reliant on a main event outside of McGregor cards than UFC 312. I don't get why they keep having these events in Australia. Nobody wants to fight there because of the taxes. Don't fucking have pay-per-view events there. I'm sorry to the Australian fans. I don't even think they'll fucking care that much. Move, like, 312's ass. Moving on. Number 9, we've got Pantoja. Now, people might say, why is he on the list? Where's Khamzat Chimaev? Newsflash, he's not on the list. So, don't come at me for not including Khamzat Chimaev because, what? I know you're petrified there. Relax. I'm not going to hurt you. I know if you close your eyes and thought, like, I'm going to watch some shadow boxing footage and just heard me go, whis, you'd think I'm probably like top 5 of all time boxing wise, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. But yeah, Pantoja, guy's been in countless wars. His most recent ones like Steve Ercik, his fights against the likes of Brandon Moreno as well. This guy is a dog. This guy has got that dog, and I'm sure I did Eddie Alvarez again. 2 shoutouts to Eddie Alvarez. Pantoja's BMF. His fucking name's the Cannibal. Tell me this guy's not BMF, he'll fucking eat your face off. And finally, capping off the list, we've got Michael Chandler. Now look, I know I've expressed my hatred towards this guy before, and I'm not going to backtrack on this. You know, I find this guy so irritating in the UFC. I do. I really do. But fuck me, this guy's fun to watch fighting unless he's being out-grappled. His last matchup was boring as hell until the end. This guy's fun to watch, I'm going to be honest. I think he's one of the most privileged fighters in the UFC, is Michael Chandler, but by God, this guy's entertaining to watch. I don't think anyone can deny that. Michael Chandler, My hatred nearly kept him off the list, but I couldn't do it. Michael Chandler's BMF. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you again in the next one.